guard him man-to-man. But there were times I had to get him man-to-man. And
favorite team that you guys love to face in your division?
Yours.
Yes, sir.
Like the games like we play against the Raiders, you might get 3 sacks when they had Jamarcus Russell, which I did. So I got 3 sacks on them in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ready, and they take Tommy Maddox.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome into another episode of West War Room Rivals, where rivals collide. I am Matt. I am going to be your host today, and joined by my side, as always, the partners in crime, Caleb, Austin, Corey, and Cody. Gentlemen, welcome in. Welcome back. How you guys feeling today?
Woo. It's almost game time. Almost game time.
Corey, it's that week, man. It's that week.
Yeah. Cody and Kayla will never understand what the AFC Championship game actually means to a franchise, but of course here
you had to go there. Okay,
familiar with it, obviously with the Chiefs, but again, guys, just sit back, enjoy AFC Championship week for the true winners of the division.
Speaking of true winners, guys, returning to the show is Cody Rourke, Broncos insider from Mile High Sports. He's backstage right now. Before we bring him on, quick shout out to our sponsors. We are coming to you live from the JBW Solutions studio. Jeff and the crew from JBW Solutions been taking good care of the War Room for quite a while now. So, again, we appreciate them for their support. Emporia State Federal Credit Union, the War Room banking of choice. Troy from Field Ops. Go contact Field Ops for all your field marking needs in the state of Kansas. Rival codes, as you can see, Corey and Austin are rocking the Rival Code shirt. Use code RIVALS10 to get 10% off your purchase. And Vidi Coffee. I don't know if Caleb, you have it with you in your new setup.
I don't.
You don't? Oh, what a loser. That's okay. But guys, without further ado, let us welcome back Cody Rourke from Mile High Sports. Cody, welcome in, man.
Hey, fellas, thanks for having me again. Had fun last time, and sure as heck gonna have fun this time too. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
There's a pretty big game in this weekend, isn't there?
I don't know, man. I can't figure out why there's 60 plus different media members from the national perspective that are suddenly here in Denver. And it's like, there must be a big game. All of a sudden the national media cares. It's crazy. Crazy. It was weird. We were kind of like, the Broncos during last week in the playoffs, they set up catering for us. Like they set up workspaces for us. There wasn't a lot of national media. It was just your typical local media. This week, you got security everywhere. You got people in the parking lot at the Justice Center making sure that you're parking and that you're media and this and that. It's just like, wow, all right, like must be a big game. Luckily, I got there early because 60 people trying to fit in this one gate that leads us all the way to practice. It's so small. You're shoulder to shoulder there. So luckily, got there early and was front out, so I didn't have to deal with that.
Did I see Mike Kliss post a picture of the Mexican food? Did you guys get Mexican food catered into you guys?
Yeah, Los Dos Patriots, which here is like it's a local staple. It's little backstory about the place. It's where Nathaniel Hackett signed his contract. It's where he agreed to be the next head coach for the Denver Broncos. So kind of bittersweet in the sense of wow, okay, that was the place. Great food, fantastic.
It's a hell of a plug.
Yeah, man, but it's like if only.
Awesome, yeah. All right, Matt, go ahead, buddy.
I would say, yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, appreciate your time. And I think the best way to kick this show off is to have Cody. You get the question, Cody.
Cody, nice to see you again, Cody.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. All right. So obviously, as you're mentioning here, there's a huge game. Of course, I think we all know what we're here for. The big AFC title game. First one in over 10 years, of course, for Denver to be returning against Patriots. And I know there's a historic rivalry with the Patriots, and it goes back from Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. So obviously with the news of Bo Nix being injured, it's Jarrett Stidham's time to shine. So what's the biggest misconception for fans right now about Stidham?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I think, I don't know, it's kind of double-edged a little bit, right? Because I think, and you obviously saw this, Jarrett played for the Raiders, and they actually had a game where he lit up the number one defense in San Francisco that year, obviously, in that game. That was wild. That's how Jarrett Stidham kind of got put on the map a little bit. I'd say a lot of fans, at least that I have talked to, they say like, they're going to operate the offense the same. With all due respect to Jarrett Stidham, Jarrett is not foot mobile or as foot athletic as Bo Nix is, but that'll be the difference. But I think the misconception, I think a lot of people think that, Jarrett is not a guy who can throw around every level of the field. I mean, he can essentially touch every blade of grass. He's got pretty solid arm strength to him. He doesn't need Josh Allen arm strength or anything, but he knows how to throw it on a rope. He's thrown a lot of dimes, and we've seen him obviously develop a lot of chemistry throughout training camp with a handful of different receivers that were here in the preseason. He was great in the preseason. And of course, he's not going to be playing against preseason caliber guys here on Sunday. But the one thing you want to look at when you're watching a player like Stidham, who has to step into the situation, which is unfortunate for Denver, but also at the same time, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because now you've had a quarterback who has shown that he's comfortable in Sean Payton's complex offense. You need to win 2 games, essentially. And it starts here on Sunday, but he's very capable of operating the offense in his own right. I think you're going to see a lot of blend between under center, shotgun. You're going to see a little more of that kind of mixed up a little bit. I think play action is going to be a very probable element here, and the run game is going to have to be a big focal point. But for Jarrett, he can make every throw. The question is what does that look like when there's pressure maybe coming from the interior from guys like Milton Williams, so to speak, and whoever they decide to send there. So I'm excited about it. Look, I was so bummed about the news with Bo coming out of the game, as I'm sure everyone in Broncos country was, because we just seen him. Like, I saw him on the x-ray table. I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just getting IVs, because usually after the game, some guys get an IV thing. I thought he was gassed. And I saw him walk off I saw him step off the x-ray table and walk back in the, behind the locker room. I was like, oh, no big deal, big nothing burger. And I go back up to the press box after the open locker room, and I'm getting ready to write my game story. And then I get the tweet and I was like, wait a minute, like, is this a hoax? Like, what the heck? So it is a shock, but man, if not to say if it had to happen, this is it. I think that Sean has a guy that is very capable of running what he wants in the event of an injury to Bo Nix. And unfortunately, here we are.
Absolutely. And yeah, Corey and I, we went live on TikTok after the game, and fans were commenting on us like, Bo Nix is injured. And my reaction is the same as yours. Like, what are you talking about? You just walked off the field. What you like,
literally just an interview? Yep, like fake news. And then we saw Adam Schefter tweeted it. And I'm like, oh man, such a shame. But
Peyton Manning, if it's any consolation, Peyton Manning got fooled by it too. He thought it was a hoax.
Yeah. I think a lot of us did. I mean, to be honest, like, again, we just saw him throw a game-tying touchdown. We saw him get his team in field goal position. He seemed fine during the post game. I mean, you could have thrown in a couple of different scenarios. Having a broken bone in his ankle or foot to keep him out of the playoffs would not have been on the list of things of like I would have expected to come out of this playoffs for sure. Yeah, no, same here. I mean, even on the play where it happened, I was sitting there. I'm in the press box. I got my binoculars. I'm looking all crazy. And I'm like, all right, he's just setting them up. Like, I thought that run to the left side is okay. They're just trying to set up, a good shot for Will Lutz here. Maybe that's, if it's on the left hash, is that where he's more comfortable? Something along those lines. And then they center it a couple plays later and just take a knee. I'm like, okay, now they went to the middle. So they were trying to pick up, I think, extra yards in that QB designer there. But we would have never known coming out of it, just even on the broadcast too, because I had it, I went right into one of the suites to do a short right after the game. And then behind me, he was doing the interview with obviously Tracy Wolfson, as you guys had pointed out there. Wouldn't have thought anything of it. So it's just one of those crazy things. It sucked the wind out of the sails a little bit. Players in the locker room had no idea until like after the fact, like after they were done talking with us. Some guys were still hanging out around, seeing their family, and they found out about it. Man, it was crazy. But at least now you have a week to prepare for Stidham to get all the reps. I'm very curious to see what Sean's game plan is going to be here against this Patriots team that they got a very stingy defense. They're very disciplined. They play with the Mike Vrabel mentality. So I'm very curious to see how they approach it.
Absolutely. And, like you said, it kind of just sucked the life. You can see it kind of like sucked the life out of the players. But Stidham does have a good support system around him. He and Bo Nix are very close. So how much trust does the rest of the team and the coaching staff have in Stidham?
Man, they have a lot. I can tell you this, being around that, Stidham is a fan favorite, is a player favorite, locker room favorite behind the scenes. We're doing interviews with guys in the locker room. Stidham, he's the guy that controls the music on the boombox in there. He's he's the guy that has the aux cord. And I'll tell you this, he switches it up every week, the genre of music, right? So there's times where we're interviewing a player. He's coming around with the boombox. One of the funny stories of Jarrett Stidham, that I'll give from this season is the fact that we're interviewing Brandon Jones pre-injury before he had the pectoral injury. And then all of a sudden Jarrett Stidham comes up, he's jamming a song that you hear all the time on TikTok. I can't even remember what it is. I just always refer to it as a TikTok song now. That's how old I am. But he says, tell him about Cabo B. And it's like, oh, what was Brandon Jones like in Cabo? Like that's where he was going. And then he does these fun things where he comes out of the training room, and this is before Bo Nix's injury, but every week he comes out of the training room, goes, not today, guys, not today. No questions. He's just a fun guy. I would say he's the vibes guy in the locker room. And look, these wide receivers, these guys all go and they golf together, tight ends, receivers, running back. Stidham's part of that. He says he's not very good at golf, but he likes to be the vibe guy, so to speak. So, when it comes to playing quarterback, he can sling it. He certainly can. There's a lot of confidence there, and I think this is going to be a big week here. The Broncos need their playmakers to step up, obviously. There's got to be a little bit of this amped-up mentality to it. There were a couple of drops last week. Lil Jordan Humphrey had a tough one. Cortland had a couple before he caught fire in that fourth-quarter drive from Bo. But you need your playmakers to step up in a big way, and that's going to be the best thing that they can do to help out Jarrett.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, vibes guy is very important. I think that's my role here. So I basically am the Jarrett Stidham of the war room, which is an honor. But
I love it.
Something I never thought I'd say, but here we are. But speaking of Stiddy, what does he do well that actually matches up favorably against New England's defense in your eyes?
Yeah, I think he's patient in the pocket. Once again, too, one thing – Denver's offensive line has been a strong suit of theirs, in terms of not allowing a high pressure rate. And yes, it helps to have a guy like Bo with his athleticism, that foot mobility that we talk about, that plays such a big role into kind of preserving that. But I mean, this is a combination offensive line that combines finesse and physicality. I mean, Quinn Miners, he brings that. Luke Wattenberg set to return more than likely this week. He was back at practice here today. The expectation is that he's going to be one of the two guys that they bring off of IR in the playoffs. We'll see about who that other one is. We'll talk about him probably later on, but Luke should be back. You got Ben Powers back. So really it's that starting offensive line. You get it back in its entirety potentially this week for the AFC Championship game. That's going to be good. But Jarrett has a really good sense about understanding where pressure is coming from, especially if he knows that I'm not going to have enough time because this guy's going to bowl around the edge really quickly. I have to step up and give my tackle a little more time. He knows how to navigate the pocket well. And I think he's not fast, but he knows when to tuck it and run and when to get his, so to speak. So I think you're going to see him manage the game really well, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he comes out, starts slinging the football at every level. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a couple of man looks from the Patriots defense. Don't be surprised if Stidham takes a couple of shots downfield early on in this game. But there's this level of confidence in him that certainly Sean has. Davis Webb, they're building a really strong game plan right now in their mind that's going to help them try to win here on Sunday. I don't know if you guys heard Sean's press conference today, but he said something about the fans, and he said they've been incredible. And now, after this week, they'll get 2 weeks before the big one. It's like, oh, so Sean's just very confident coming into this week. And look, why not? You're the underdogs once again. Everyone's looking at that. And Jarrett Stidham, he's the underdog in the story, but he's a chance to really write a great narrative about himself.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I said before the season about Sean Payton is no one trusts Sean Payton more than Sean Payton. and Sean's not afraid to let people know that he's had success with backup quarterbacks, with quarterbacks. So to be 100% honest with you, as a fan, to see my coach go out there and have that much confidence in a backup quarterback the way he does, it absolutely has me amped up for this game, because I know as long as I see a confident head coach, then we should be confident as a fan base, because our coach will have the game plan ready to go.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of credence to that. And here's the thing with Sean. Sean says things, and he was not shy about saying things during training camp. Everyone's like, wait a minute, did he say that this team that he's coaching could be, one of those teams that could go win a Super Bowl? Everyone thought it was crazy, but now as we've seen the position that they're in, that's almost kind of being spoken into, prophecy here. It's almost being fulfilled. Sean sees something, he believes it. I just remember one of the OTA practices. I got to go back and find it. I posted on TikTok somewhere. It's one of the early clips there. He had this Grinch smile on his face at OTAs. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, what does he know that we don't know just yet? And to see the season play out as it hasn't been perfect, right? But we've seen them become a resilient team. They've been battle tested. They know how to respond when their back is against the wall. We've seen them handle that really well. We've seen them handle being underdogs. Whereas I feel like when you have a young team, sometimes when you're the underdog and everyone's talking about the other team, they're not giving you your props. Sometimes like young, immature teams can focus on that, and that can impact them on the field. Whereas I think Denver's got a really young but mature locker room. They got the right guys in leadership positions. You have a head coach that embodies that to the point where that doesn't bother them. They don't care if they're underdogs. They actually like being in that position, which is a rare feat. It kind of does remind me of that Super Bowl 50 team that wasn't young, but they were underdogs. They were overlooked quite a bit, and they liked being in that spot. I think the same kind of speaks here.
Hey, Caleb, before you go, I just want to ask, you heard Cody say something about the Broncos offensive line being fully healthy and back intact. I want you to tell me, as a Charger fan, what does hearing something like a healthy offensive line mean to you?
I'm jealous. You might be too, Austin, honestly.
That's true.
Both of us are jealous a little bit.
Man,
it's like the Spider-Man meme. You guys are just pointing at it worse, right?
I grew up. So I was coaching high school ball. I played high school ball in Oregon, right? And I coached right after I graduated, and I had a chance to go watch Justin Herbert play high school football at Sheldon in person. I actually, at Radio Row a few years ago, I was one of the few people that actually got to sit down and interview Justin, which was really cool. We bonded about all that stuff. But, man, that old line, just the loss of Slater, the loss of Alt, I mean, that was a huge blow, I think, to them, certainly. But I think they'll be better. Mike McDaniel going over there, that's a damn good hire there. The AFC West, I think, is going to be fun next year, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I hope so.
And then the Raiders.
I hope it's fun. We'll see.
Hey, if Fernando's the guy there, man, okay. I'm just curious who they bring in. Right, who they bring in as a coach, that's going to matter. They got to build that offensive line. They have a stud back in Genty. Genty wasn't the problem; it was the O-line. If you can find a way to shape up that O-line and get Fernando, and I think very much the Raiders could be a little bit of a sneaker team.
God, man, I hope you're right, but we'll see. I think it depends on the coach and leadership, and see how they direct that team for sure.
Yeah,
Cody, we get you have the same name. You don't have to be nice to him. Don't get his hopes up.
Go ahead, Caleb.
So I know you kind of touched on this earlier, but how has Stidham handled the pressure initially? Has he been calm, urgent, somewhat in between, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great one. Like I think for Jarrett, the way he's prepared, I think going up against this Broncos defense every day for him, because he's responsible for running the scout team offense, right? It's not like Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, these guys, they're facing off against the defense every single day. No, that's training camp. You get that in training camp. But no, Jarrett is running the opposing team's look for Denver's defense. And there's been times this year where Stidham's making throws, making big plays. The defense is getting burnt on a couple of things there. And like Sean Payton will look at Vance Joseph and get pissed like, Stidham is tearing up our defense here. So Jarrett gets that confidence. And I don't know if you guys saw what Max Crosby recently just did an interview. He even said when he was a member of the Raiders, he had so much respect for him because, Max is Max. He's going to hit the quarterback. You're never supposed to hit the quarterback, but Jarrett gets right back up. He talks trash right back to him. Like Jarrett has a chip on his shoulder. I would say he's very calm, cool, and collected. This week, from what we've seen, at least in today's practice, it's very much like business as usual. It's a business mindset. He's focused on what he has to do and isn't too concerned with the noise there. And I just think that level of maturity he has, I don't think he's going to be nervous about this week at all. Now, granted, look, it's football. I think, if anyone who's ever suited up, before a game, you get those butterflies. It's always one of the best parts of it. But after that first play, guess what? They're gone, and now it's go time. And I see a lot of Broncos fans tweeting out. I mean, I'm seeing the profile pictures all over Twitter. It's crazy. But everyone's tweeting Stiddy up, and I think he's going to be ready for it.
So I've been talking on the TikTok lives the last couple of nights about how important this game could actually be for Stidham in the long run. He could be playing it for a future contract because obviously there's other teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback. So you go out, play well in the AFC Championship game, get a team to a Super Bowl, and possibly win a Super Bowl. Now you're looking at maybe, hey, come be a bridge guy, be a starter, do this. So in your opinion for this game, in order for the Broncos to win, what does a realistic, successful stat line look for Jarrett Stidham?
Ooh, that's a great question, right? I mean, so much of today's NFL, I mean, every game, like, you usually see the quarterbacks are throwing for like 375. Like, they're throwing for that. Usually those teams are losing this year, which is really weird. Whereas we're seeing weird stat lines where guys are going like 20 of 32 and, 189 yards, and they're winning games with, I think so much of that I think Stidham, you want to be in the 2 touchdown range at least, in any way, shape, or form. 2 touchdowns is going to be important. Just depends. New England, we know they can score points. They're one of the more highly explosive offenses in the NFL. Denver faced one last week in Buffalo, and Buffalo still got theirs from a production standpoint. But it's all about the turnovers, the takeaways. I think so much about ball security too here. Stidham is going to be a guy that I think is going to take care of the football. I think more so he'll be aggressive at times, but I think he'll try to really manage the game flow here. So I would say like a successful stat line that could indicate maybe a Broncos win. Let's say he completes 18 of 29 passes for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. That I think would be good enough to be able to do it. But what about the run game here? I think so much this week for Denver offensively, not only Stidham playing well, but trying to get the run game to play well as well, which has been so up and down. I mean, last week against Buffalo, RJ Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin combined had 10 total carries between the two of them. That is not going to cut it when you talk about the run bounce. Granted, Bo had 12 rushing attempts, but that's, Jarrett Stidham's not going to have that this week. So the run game has to be a focal point. But I could see that being a successful stat line here for Stidham and for the Broncos. And then some people on Twitter are like, oh, yeah, he ain't going to come in and put up 400. What if he did? That would just be so crazy.
Right? That's what I was about to say. Yeah, as a Chiefs fan, I would hope he comes out like 30 of 35, 450, 5 touchdowns, and just like be the talk of the NFL, big guy. Like, do it.
Yeah. What was his stat line against the 49ers when he was the Raiders quarterback in that one game there? I felt like he put up.
It was like 364.
I was just looking it up right now. He was 23 for 24, 365, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he had a quarterback rating of over 108. He played a really, really good game against, at the time, the number 1 defense in the Niners.
Man, and you had Devontae Adams, and you had the ghost of Darren Waller at the time.
Yeah. He still was running around for a minute.
Would I be shocked if Jarrett did something like that? No, I certainly wouldn't, right? He's done it before in the NFL. Like, this is the thing. Like, he doesn't have a large sample size as a starter in the regular season. We all understand that. I think that's the great unknown right now. Like, what are you going to get from Jarrett Stidham? Like, he was great in the preseason, right? But you're not going to be playing against preseason level of competition. Everybody understands that. I do think there is something to be said for the fact that he's been going against this Broncos defense all season long as the scout team guy. I mean, him throwing to guys like Elijah Moore, Caleb Lohner, getting the other guys involved. I mean, his running backs that he's had to work with on the practice squad have been Deuce Vaughn, right? Mm-hmm. So what is everything kind of, and Cody Schrader as of late, but yeah, would not be shocked if Stidham were to ever come out here and light it up. Do we expect that? No. Would we be shocked? No.
That would be amazing. Like, I don't know. I'm not a Broncos fan, obviously. Yeah, but I don't root for the Broncos, but you kind of like an underdog story, right? Like the Nick Foles. I hate the Eagles for obvious reasons, but like that Nick Foles Super Bowl was awesome. So kind of hoping for that.
You're gonna do the Stiddy special?
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna head into a little bit of the matchup talk, and we're gonna start with the coaches. Big Mike Vrabel guy. Titans haven't been the same without him. He's obviously turned the Patriots around really quick, but when you look at Sean Payton versus Mike Vrabel, where do you think this game is truly decided?
Man, I have to think just because who Vrabes is and obviously really kind of the identity of Denver. I feel like defense for both sides. Vrabel's defense, I mean, he's got those guys playing discipline. You talk about a guy off the Belichick tree and, essentially in terms of do your job. I look at this Patriots defense and I see guys who do nothing but their job. They have complete commitment and buy-in. Man, they flow to the football too. If it's a toss to the left side, you've got almost 8 or 9 guys that are flowing there. And then obviously you got your backside corner and safety that are trailing underneath there. But that's what I see from them is that this defense is probably going to come out from the Patriots side of things, try to shut down the run, force Denver to pass the ball a little bit, and then try to dial up some pressure in some key situations here. That's how I see this kind of boiling down. And it's also, is this going to be one of those games where whichever defense maybe scores, like could a defense score? Could that be the thing that settles this whole entire game? I would not be shocked if it comes down to that type of battle here. But obviously, I think you look at New England's defense, they haven't had a tendency to break much, right? Mm-hmm. There's been some times where teams have capitalized on a couple of big plays or two, especially the Buffalo Bills that came back. I think they were down, 21, nothing, 24-0 just several weeks ago in the regular season against New England. They stormed back. You don't want to be in that situation if you're Denver, especially against this defense. Christian Gonzalez, very, very good. They'll run a blend of man and zone. Carlton Davis should be good to go this week as well. And then obviously Christian Ellis at linebacker, who's been such a nice little underrated pickup for them this year. So for me, I think that's going to be a big key. I think it's going to be one in the trenches here defensively for either side. I think that's what it's really going to come down to.
Yeah, I was very wrong about the Patriots defense going into the playoffs. I saw what they did against my team, unfortunately. But in your opinion, what does Vrabel do best on the defensive front that Sean's got to get Stidham prepared for?
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, with Bo, I would say more so contain. Like, they're very good at contain. How much do they need to do that this week? Whereas I think you're going to see them slant quite a bit on the defensive line from their outside perspective. And obviously on the interior there, Milton Williams does a great job of eating up some double teams. And so that creates one-on-ones for the linebackers to fill. I think you're going to see a lot of slanting towards the strength side from a matchup standpoint this week. I don't think Vrabes is going to come in and try to reinvent the wheel here. Look, they're good at disguising their coverages. They're good at disguising when they're going to blitz. Bo has done such a great job this year identifying where the blitz is coming from. Against disguised coverages, Bo's actually been very good at diagnosing that stuff pre-snap. Where is Jarrett Stidham at with that? Right now, that's the big unknown for us. So that's kind of where I'm leaning here.
Yeah, and continuing on with Vrabes, like you said, I mean, he's still Mike Vrabel. He's a very aggressive guy. That's one of his styles. So how aggressive do you think he's going to come after Jarrett Stidham in this game?
I think from the onset, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to run a cover zero blitz on the very first play just to try to set the tone.
Yeah.
That would not shock me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm sure you've gotten the JK talk all week from everyone wanting to know what's the likelihood that we see JK this week. And I don't think we would, but do you think that you would see a full workload from him?
I don't think if he plays, I don't think we see a full workload. I think if it's up to JK, I think JK is going to play, right? If it's up to him. We saw him out there today. He had a nice little conversation with us before we left practice. Very confident. I can't say what he said, but he's excited. He's jazzed up. And I think once again, if it is up to him, he's going to find a way to play. But he did look like he was moving well out there today for a guy back in his first practice, at least from what we have seen. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a lot of guys come back from injury this year. I haven't seen a player returning from injury necessarily do as much as what JK did here on their first day back. So that is the wild card. That is the surprise. Doesn't guarantee he's going to play on Sunday, though. But I think if it's up to JK, he's going to try to find a way to do that. But ultimately, it's going to be Sean and the medical staff's call.
Yep. And then speaking of Sean Payton, of course, I think what a lot of people are missing here, and Corey actually and Matt have pointed out that Sean Payton probably should be at least a name that's thrown out there when it comes to Coach of the Year. So with that being said, win or loss for this Broncos team this Sunday, what does this run mean for Sean Payton and his rebuild that he's had in Denver?
Well, I mean, it's huge. I don't think a lot of people thought that they would be here, and I don't even think Sean thought that they would be here yet. I think that Sean saw some pieces on the roster when he took the job. Obviously, like the general manager and the ownership dynamic that is currently present here with George Payton, the Walton Penner family ownership group. But I think the biggest thing here for Sean is seeing how fast his young team has clicked on. And now when you have cornerstone pieces of your franchise, you talk about Quinn Miners, you talk about Garrett Bowles, you talk about Bo Nix now at the quarterback position, Cortland Sutton being one of those guys. Now you have Zach Allen, Malcolm Roach, DJ Jones. You have your cornerstone guys, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. These are your cornerstone players that you have built the foundation with, and they're ahead of schedule. And now, after this season, that Russell Wilson dead cap money is off the books. You have flexibility. Some of the recent contract extensions that you've done, you can convert some of those into signing bonuses, which allow even more cap space and flexibility to make moves here. I think we see a very aggressive push by Denver, whether they win, whether they lose. I think that they're going to go all out while Bo Nix is still on his rookie deal. And, of course, they're going to take care of him eventually here. But there's no rush at this point. Like, it's about smart roster management, and Denver's done very good at that. They've identified the right types of guys to bring in. Like, they're not going to bring in somebody who might not be a great locker room fit or a great teammate, even if they're a great player. So much of that process for them is, hey, is this guy, like Sean Payton has told us, if we bring this guy in, are we doing our locker room a favor? Are we doing right by them? That's so much how he thinks. And there's a lot of talented players out there, but some headaches that, Denver has passed up on, so to speak, for the ultimate team guys. And so, it's scary to think about, and they have all their draft picks, which is also a nice thing. So it's crazy to see where they were at the Russell Wilson trade to where they are now. I don't think anyone expected them to be where they are currently at. I certainly did not.
Yeah, so let's talk some X factors and some matchups. So what's the single most important matchup Denver has to win in order to make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, PS2 versus Stephon Diggs. That's going to be one. And I would even say like PS2 / Riley Moss against Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte. Drake May and this Patriots offense love to attack downfield. They're not shy about taking shots. I imagine Drake won't be shy trying to take a couple of shots against PS2. It's the gamble you have when you have a young quarterback that certainly the franchise in New England believes he's their guy. He has showcased that he's not afraid at times. So I think you're going to see him test Riley and PS2, eliminating that downfield threat that obviously New England has thrived at this season. I think is going to be one of the bigger keys here for Denver. And I think so much of that too, this is the hope that Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, this D-line can get home too, because that can also help take that away as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which Broncos player, outside of the quarterbacks, obviously, and the corners that you said, which guy has to play out of their normal level?
That's a great question, because I'm thinking in my head, defensively, you don't need guys to go out there and try to be too spectacular, try to press a little bit. I think more so this will probably come on the offensive side. You don't want that to be Jarrett Stidham. You just want Jarrett to go out there and be himself and play. I think if anything, Cortland Sutton, take on the load a little bit more, right? Because, and here's the challenge with that. They're going to put Christian Gonzalez on him, and they're going to bracket him with the safety. That's how defenses have been playing court pretty much all season. So, when times when the ball is thrown to court, you need to come up with a couple of those big catches, right? I think that's going to be paramount here. You need your other playmakers to step up. Pat Bryant, I think, is going to play this week. I think all signs are pointing at. And if you look at the preseason, that was one of Jarrett Stidham's favorite targets to throw to. He and Troy Franklin. Trent Sherfield was one, but he's no longer on the roster anymore. But those two guys being back potentially, that's also very big for Stidham, because if Cortland's seeing that attention, one of those guys is going to go make a big play. And I think it's going to be the rookie, Pat Bryant.
That'll be huge. How much pressure is on the defense to shorten this game for Stidham?
I think there's a lot of pressure just because you lost Bo Nix, right? You lost. Right. What was the analogy, I was making with somebody, and they brought up the heart of the team. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, the heart of the team, I think, is Bo Nix in a sense, in terms of what he's been able to do to galvanize that locker room and get everybody to rally behind him. But the defense, they're the left and the right ventricles that pump the blood into the heart. The same thing is, you're going to run into the same situation here, but you're just doing a heart transplant here. The heart has to become Jarrett Stidham at this point, and your ventricles need to still operate and function the same exact way here. So I would say that's probably going to be the big key for them. And I think so much of that pressure gets taken off if Denver can run the ball. Yeah, they can find a way to run the ball. That takes so much pressure off. But also, love Sean. Sean's awesome. He has a tendency to go away from the run at times. And that's
God. Yeah, look at Cody showing up. Good Cody showing off that intelligence on, the heart surgery and everything.
Me. You talk about me, right? Me.
Yeah, no, bad Cody.
We look alike. I can't tell the difference between the two of us.
No, but I'm a big special teams guy, and there's a couple special teams unit this week going against each other. I mean, you have a couple all-pro returners. I don't really know Patriots kicking game, but I do know the mustache on Broncos punter is Mac. Just incredible. So do the special teams, are they kind of going to play a hidden role in this matchup? And is it kind of being overlooked a little bit?
Yeah, I think it is. I think I would not be shocked if it comes down to special teams. I think in a way, last week's game really kind of came down to special teams in a sense, right? Obviously, Will Lutz booted in the game winner, but nobody's talking about Jeremy Crawshaw's punt that pinned the Bills inside the 5-yard line. And that would have been like, everyone's talking about officiating this week, but it's like that punt right there, pinned them inside the 5. The very next play, DJ Jones is held. If they call that, well, that results in a safety. That punt all of a sudden became one of the more important plays in the entire game, but also where Jeremy did it from and how far it went. That was huge. So I think there's that dynamic. You mentioned the return game. Okay. I think Marvin Mims will be the punt returner this week. I don't think that'll change. I don't think he stays on kick return this week. I think they pulled him off of that. Very first play of the game, we saw him get hit helmet to helmet. You want to protect Marvin. Thank goodness he was okay, because then Denver would have been down to 2 wide receivers.
Right.
I don't know if they would have won if that obviously played out that way. But Devin Key, man, he is going to be key. 3 special teams tackles last week, but guess what? He's got to stop Travion Henderson in the backfield, and obviously Marcus Jones, who's been so electrifying this season, not only as a corner, but as their punt returner, their all-star there. And Travion's just so explosive as a kick returner as well. This is going to be fun. Special teams is going to be so big this week.
I loved it. We were watching that game, and I kept asking my brother, I'm like, who is this guy? Because honestly, with the new kickoff rule and everything, like that's huge advantage. And the same dude kept doing something. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, well, that's our all-pro or Pro Bowler or whoever. And I'm like, he's making a difference.
Yeah.
Think about if the kickoff rules were the old ones that were just like everyone's just kicking touchbacks left and right. Think about how many players would maybe fall under the cracks a little bit and not have an opportunity because of that. Like, this kickoff rule specifically has allowed Devin Key to have an all-pro career and emerge there. I love that this is part of the game now, because now it makes this such an important element of your special teams, but also I think your roster building. That's going to be something that I think is the focus behind these rule changes. Devin Key, I think, is the poster boy of that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then one last question before we wrap up this segment. What are some mistakes that you noticed on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball from last week's game that Denver absolutely has to avoid against New England?
Yeah, let's start off on the offensive side. I would say drops. Man, drops were problematic. And look, it's not a surprise. That's been an issue a little bit all year from a consistency standpoint. I mean, Bo Nix, I think, had the second most, or I don't know if after last week that changed, the most yards lost due to drops by receivers. And there's been several drop touchdowns this year. Cortland had a couple of tough third down drops last week in the first half, and luckily he bounced back in the fourth quarter there. Little Jordan Humphrey dropped a touchdown that, could have made a huge difference. Obviously in last week's game, 7 instead of 3 changes maybe the way that you have to play certain things later on as the game kind of progresses. So I think offensively, that's going to be it. Drops and running the football. To me, that was the issue here. There were some nice holes that Denver opened up, but they didn't hit them, or they didn't choose to run with it, and it was there. So I would say for offense, that's where it's at. Defensively, third down. Granted, a lot of those third downs that Josh Allen had, there was short yardage situations, and he's running that little QB sneak off guard, which big guy, 250 pounds, falling forward, hard to stop that. But there were a couple of times where it was 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, and they're giving up a 15-plus yard pass play, right? So I think third down efficiency, that's going to be big for them this week.
So as we get into wrapping this up real quick, when you look back on this season years from now, what do you think that people are going to remember the most about this team?
I think that they're resilient. They're here. They're knocking on the door saying, hey, like the Broncos, they've been a laughing stock for the last 10 years, but there's a change coming. And it started last year with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. And now this year, they had a lot of naysayers. They had a lot of people doubting them. And they're okay with that. But it's like, hey, this Broncos team, they find ways to win. They've flipped the script. Last year it was they can't win these one-score games. This year they're winning them. And people are like, oh, they haven't beaten a good team. They beat the Buffalo Bills. Right? You play who's on your schedule. And of course, Denver's schedule next year. It's going to be tough. Yeah. But with this type of team that we have seen, I think they're going to be in it. I think once again, like Denver's going to be here for a while. I think there's going to be a changing of the landscape around the league. We've already seen it so far with no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. Obviously in an AFC championship now, there's no Patrick Mahomes, there's no Josh Allen. It's, for so many people, it's weird. But for me, it's like, hey, this is great for the NFL. The parity around the league this year, even if you had a really terrible record, you saw these teams competing for the most part against some really good teams. That means that the NFL is in a really good spot. And I think the numbers, the ratings, the money that's obviously coming in, it's a great sign for that. And I think this Broncos team here, they're here to stick around for a little bit. And I'm curious to see how they manage, obviously, the high of this year. And you can't just be satisfied with, hey, we had a great year in 2025. All right, that's it. It's now the expectation rises a little bit. You're in the AFC Championship game. So you know what that means next year. Everyone's saying, hey, you got to get back. You got to get to the Super Bowl. To get to the Super Bowl this year, the expectation is you got to get back to it next year. That's just the nature of the game when you're winning and you're at the position that you're in.
What's one thing you've learned about this locker room during this playoff run that we don't necessarily see on film or on the box score.
Man, they're a tight-knit group. They're funny. Like these guys, they don't blink when the pressure is on. But man, they also have time. Like they're not too serious all the time in a sense. Like I think they have this perfect balance of focus, but also being relaxed a little bit. And I think you have to have that because I come from a sports psychology background. That's what I have a master's degree in.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the performance anxiety is a very real thing. And even these guys that we see, the best of the best, they have it. I don't think many people knew before last week that before every game, Josh Allen goes to the bathroom and he pukes and pukes and pukes. Like these are just like little things here. So how do you balance saying, hey, this is the biggest game? Like for so many Broncos players outside of Talanoa Hufanga, Sean Payton, Mike McGlinchey, and Dre Greenlaw, a lot of these guys have never been in a big game like this before, right? So with that comes pressure, outside expectations, but these guys do a really great job of tuning that out. I think the people that Sean has brought into the building, you certainly see that, hey, it doesn't matter if you haven't been here, we're going to show you how to do it. I think that's very much what you've had, and I think that's why you have really great leaders. That's so important inside the locker room. I think that's a difference sometimes between teams going far and teams falling short sometimes is you can have a great team, but if your leadership isn't great and you don't believe in those tough moments, you haven't been battle tested, you see a lot of guys crack under that. Denver, for some reason, what I have seen in the locker room, what doesn't show up in the box score is that there are guys that thrive in this situation. And look, it's not to say it's going to work every time, right? I mean, it's the NFL. It's tough. It's tough to win 14 games. It's tough to win a playoff game. It's going to be tough to win an AFC championship, but you got to find a way to go out there and do it. And what happened last week doesn't matter. What happened in week one doesn't matter. It's a new week, and embrace that challenge. I think Denver's very good at being able to move on from something and focus on what's in front of them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say when Denver wins this game.
Oh, no.
That's how confident I am, What will be one thing that people outside of Broncos country got wrong about this team?
Well, it's crazy because I would say Bo Nix. So many people have been hating on Bo Nix all year. It's just like, man, crazy. Stop hating on Bo. Like, Bo's got it. Bo's got it. And if people don't believe me, go watch his last drive against the Buffalo Bills in the fourth quarter in a gotta-have-it situation. He came up big. I mean, that was a legacy drive for Bo. That's great. I can't think of that right now because really it would be Bo. I mean, we have such a big question mark right now with Jarrett Stidham in terms of like that unknown factor. Denver's defense has been so good all season, even though that after the bye week, they've kind of came out flat. They've given up more plays, more explosives. I don't know what that narrative is going to be, honestly. For me, it would be Bo, but if I had to think of something that's going to apply now, it's maybe people are starting to think that, okay, hey, the Broncos defense isn't as great as people think it is. And maybe that's what snake bites that opposing team. Maybe they do overlook that a little bit. I think Drake May's a fantastic player. But I think people also forget Drake May himself. He's a young player. He was a rookie last year. He's a second-year guy this year. He's taken monumental steps. He's got a great coaching staff around him that's helping him see things, but he can operate the things that they want. But also, when you're getting hit, and that's going to be the Broncos' defensive game plan, you want to hit Drake May. You don't want him to feel like he's got time to sit back in that pocket. That can still get to you a little bit. I think that's going to be maybe the narrative that people are overlooking is that, hey, Denver's defense since the bye week, they haven't been as great. Maybe we see Denver's defense finally locking out because I think a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, look at them last week. They gave up over 400 yards of offense. They couldn't stop anybody on third down. This should be a cakewalk. Let them think that. I think that would be the dangerous narrative to overlook.
Yeah, Cody. I mean, you could have answered that with the common thing. The refs, okay? That's one thing they got wrong. They're not on your side. Sorry, as a Chiefs fan, it's nice to see another fan base
Can we talk about this? I understand it now. Bills Mafia is one of the whiniest franchise fan bases I've ever heard of. And I used to have so much respect for them. I was like, wow, they donate to opposing teams' charities. But now I've kind of learned that's kind of like backhanded toxicity a little bit by them. Man, I have never seen a more whiny, entitled fan base. And look, I've had my fair share. And look, I think there's some guys in the chat like Drewski. Drewski, I'm not talking about you. I don't mean to lump everybody in Bills Mafia. But you should have seen the number of comments. Like I'm putting out a report and people are like, oh, Bo Nix got the karma he deserved. I was like, usually Bills Mafia is not like that. I was like, that was disappointing. And then the officiating thing. Once again, everyone's got to cry about something. Like bad calls happen all the time. I didn't think that was a bad call on the INT. I think that there's a clear angle from behind Jaquan McMillan that clearly shows how he didn't survive the ground, how Brandon Cooks didn't survive the ground. And look, Brandon Cooks didn't even get up and try to argue it either at that point. He felt like he got sunned, little man in, weight room there. But I just think that's always like the worst part about it. Just like the toxicity you get from fan bases. And look, here's the thing too. Broncos country can also be very toxic as well. I experience that sometimes. So I just think that's fandom in general. There are a lot of toxic people in every fan base. I don't think there's ever the one fan base out there that has just like, oh man, these guys are squeaky clean. They're so nice, especially Philadelphia. I hear that's the nicest place.
Yeah. Matt, do you want to wrap it up here as we get to our minute mark?
Yep. Again, Cody, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we really appreciate
We're already
your
45
time.
minutes through this thing.
Yeah, man.
We sure are.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know. It's great.
Yeah.
It's championship week vibes, okay? I know all about it. I'm happy for you guys, okay?
Oh, jeez.
I'm the one person on this screen who picked Denver to win the division this year. So
you did, yes,
I did see maybe not a championship run coming, but I did see them
the
doing
beard
it.
gives them that magical power to predict, the future. So
it's all in the
shout
beard.
out to Beer Club. But again, Cody, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It was great last time. It was even better this time because we got to talk AFC Championship football with you. Thank you again so much. Before we let you go, for our new listeners, can you let us know where they can find your content, where we can listen in on all your podcasts as well?
Yeah, absolutely not. I appreciate you all for having me. You guys are awesome. Like I said, I like that when you guys are live on TikTok, every once in a while I'll jump in there and I'll comment and all that stuff. I just support what you guys got going on. I think for you guys being able to do all that, take time to have me on, it means a lot. I appreciate it. For anyone, look, I do a daily Broncos podcast. I've been doing for 8 years, Locked On Broncos. Literally every day, all year long. It's crazy. I don't know how I do it. It makes my head spin sometimes. But also daily over there at milehighsports.com. If you want to know what's going on with the team, you get the written recaps of everything. You get all that there. So it's like nothing but content, which in today's world, and you guys understand it, content is king.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate you guys, for having me on.
Thank you so much, Cody, for joining us, man. Really glad we get to chat with you again.
Good vibes at the stadium this weekend, man. Good vibes at the stadium this weekend.
We're going to have brunch, too, in the press box, I've been told, per source. So I'm excited. I love me a good brunch. The stadium meals this year have been chef's kiss. They've been fantastic. So it's going to be loud. I'll take a video of the water bottle that I usually set on the very first play, and I'll send it to you guys. The stadium shakes so much on first down, third down. I've been in there a lot of times in the stadium. Last week was the loudest I've ever heard it. And you can't imagine it getting any louder, but it will this week. So it'll be fun.
I can't wait to see that video. That's going to be sick.
I'm going to have to live vicariously through you. I won't be able to watch the game, unfortunately. But guys, again, Cody, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good evening.
See you, brother. Take care.
You
too, man.
Yeah.
What a
show. What a show. So
Cody's
again,
such a great guy.
Everybody in the comment section, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on all the socials, come find us on TikTok, Instagram, X. What an episode. What did you guys take away from that? That Matt, I'll ask you real quick. What did you take away from that had you more pumped about Championship Sunday?
How much faith and trust this team has in Jarrett Stidham. Not only that, the fact that he is so calm, cool, collective. He's himself, and now I know he controls the jukebox in the locker room. Like
yes,
this
sir.
pressure, this game, it means something to him, but at the same time, it doesn't mean anything. It's nothing different. It's another day at the office for him. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna be himself. He trusts his receivers. His receivers trust him. The team trusts him. The coaching staff trusts him. It's how much trust this team has in one another. That's what this says to me.
Cody, did Cody give you a little inspiration there, talking about, get the quarterback and then, maybe the Raiders could be a sneaky team next year? Did he give you a little, are you going to fall for it again?
No, not that I don't trust Cody and his insight, but I think like what you guys did to me, you guys sold me on Pete Carroll's a culture guy.
Sorry.
We had no culture in there. So I think what's difficult is, listen, there's a lot of things that's in front of us that we're assuming, yeah, you just do that. But again, we've all seen it. It's a running joke. It's very similar to Chargers are going to Charger. The Raiders just don't know how to find a coach that lasts that long, and they mess up on draft picks. So I think that's some huge things that I'm concerned with as a Raiders fan. But I do want to talk about a little thing that I'm encouraged about with what Cody said about Jarrett Stidham, which is I think people are underestimating what he's going to bring to this game. And I think some of it is when I saw him, fill in a little bit for Derek Carr on the Raiders, he was actually better than people expected. And I think we can see the same. And I wouldn't count out the Broncos yet. A lot of people on the lives, Corey, that you do, or Matt, or even Caleb, they are counting out the Broncos like, hey, good try, see you next year. And it's like, whoa, guys, like the game hasn't even played yet. We have no idea, one, what it's going to be like. And also, two, don't be surprised if they get shocked or, the Patriots get shocked by Jarrett Stidham, which is what Cody pointed out. So I just also want to put that out there as well.
Caleb,
so the only one we lost credibility with is Cody.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But Caleb, what stood out to you about what Cody was talking about with the Broncos group as far as, being ready, being prepared, and maybe, Stidham being ready for the moment?
Yeah, really just how calm, cool, and collected Stidham's been. That's what stood out to me the most. Because, if I was put in that situation, I would be frantic. You know what I mean? Like kind of freaking out a little bit. I would definitely be showing it externally. And Stidham, obviously, according to Cody, he looks just fine. He can throw the ball everywhere. Like he said, he could throw it on touch every blade of grass. But yeah, overall, I would not count the Broncos out either. I got to agree with Cody a little bit on that. Our Cody.
Oh, okay. Me, him, who?
Yes, both. And really what I mean, like the Broncos defense is good enough for them to have a couple broken plays offensively. So a couple big plays offensively, they're in the game. If the Broncos have 2 long big plays, they're in the game regardless. So yeah, I would not count the Broncos out yet.
And without diving into like deep game plans, obviously I do expect a lot of Marvin Mims. I know I called him out on our pregame show last weekend as far as being, the guy. I think Stidham's going to surprise some people by taking some shots to Marvin Mims. So I believe you want to dive into it now? Do you guys?
My favorite thing about Cody joining, and I just want to make sure, was like how excited he got when we were talking special teams. Because I really think even with Stidham, I think these are 2 evenly matched teams offensively and defensively.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. No matter your hate, your fandom, I still think this is a very evenly matched game. And I do think it's going to come down to something like special teams. Who gives up the return? Who has a shanked punt? Who misses that field goal potentially to, give the other team decent field position. So just seeing how excited he got, I don't know, that got me fired up because I do think this is an evenly matched game. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not a Broncos fan. Outside looking in, I think it's going to be one hell of a ball game, and it is going to come down to something like special teams.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maddie, I know you're not going to get to watch this game this week, so I'm going to be the fan for you. I promise I'm going to be very obnoxious as we get into more TikTok lives later on this week, as we get into our pregame show.
Are you going to call anybody professor?
No,
I'm sure
that's
he
strictly
will.
Matt's. I'm not going to steal that from Matt. But while we have a few minutes here, again, thank you to everyone who's watching right now. This is absolutely amazing. We are truly honored to have all of you guys watching and in the chat as well. So again, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe button, come follow us. Be ready for that pregame show. There was an absolute embarrassment of a press conference today. I kind of want to go Matt, Caleb, Cody, and then I'm going to have him end it because I'm truly interested to hear his final take on what the Bills were, what they were trying to accomplish. So Matt, let's start with you real quick. Give us your initial thoughts on that, whatever you want to call what the Bills are trying to do today.
I think this loss this over the weekend just broke the Bills on every level you can think of. Like they're imploding and self-destructing so bad right now. Sorry, Drewski, but that organization is just becoming a complete disaster. From the loss to firing Sean McDermott, promoting Bean, and then bashing a receiver who's still on your roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, we didn't even want him anyway. That was the coaches." Like, come on, man. Like, what are you guys doing here? You guys, again, all of you know me. I hate distractions in the locker room. This is going to go into the locker room going into next season because that's all this team is going to be thinking about, what ownership thinks of them. And any new player that they're going to draft that's coming to this team, again, professionalism. Do I want to play for that? Hell no, I don't want to play for that. Like, chill out, Professor Dickweed. Like, I get we lost, but you are the owner. You could have easily stopped that. You can interject like, no, Sean, I don't like the pick. Let's go somewhere else. But don't throw him under the bus and pretend like you had nothing to do. Your hands are clean in this mess. Unprofessional organization. I can't stand it. It makes me sick.
Yeah, and Jeff, I see you over there. Be safe. Obviously, this winter storm's no joke. It's getting bigger by the minute. Obviously, we're going to be affected by it. Caleb's going to be affected by it. So you and Mom stay safe over there in your neck of the woods with that winter storm. Caleb, I want to get your thoughts on the Bills. Then Cody, you go right after Caleb.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that is the softest thing I have ever seen from a man. Not only football related. Like, that is soft. That's just soft, dude. Like, you're deflecting stuff onto a 21, 22-year-old, something like that. That's just so disrespectful overall. Like, if you make a decision, you need to stick with it. If it's good, if it's bad, like, you got to live with the consequences, right? And for the way they handled that press conference, like, they're grown men, that they're superiors to Keon, and you're talking about a inferior like that. That's just so disrespectful. And I agree with Matt. Really, I think that will go into the locker room. I would not be shocked if Keon requests a trade or demands a trade at this point. I mean, I was really disappointed overall. Like, just how you carry yourself. Like, you should not carry yourself like that as a man. That's just my opinion. I think it's just really soft. But yeah, I can keep going on, but I don't want to take anyone's thunder. But yeah, I was just overall, I was just like, how disrespectful that was. That was so disrespectful.
That's about as close to cursing as Caleb's ever going to
that's
get.
the most anger we've ever seen.
Right.
Caleb had one anime vein.
Yeah.
Cody, go ahead.
I think what's interesting in this thing is social media, one, is never late to the party. And here's what I mean. Like, not even 10 minutes after that clip goes out, then there's other clips that resurface of Billy or of Bean or whoever this guy is now, the GM now, that is basically saying, oh, if Coleman's speed was this, that means we can get him. What coach was around him that was in his ear saying, hey, we need to get Coleman right now? Granted, it's one clip. Who knows what was happening behind the scenes leading up to it. But I think what's interesting is it's not like Bean didn't have any say in anything. In fact, majority of the drafts are his vision. And I think 2 out of the 28 players, I think is the number, have made the Pro Bowl, and the others are not even either on the team or they're not even close to the Pro Bowl. So then it's almost like, okay, what quality of players are you drafting? And another thing too, this kind of makes me think about teams that have a toxic ownership just cover it up better than others. Like, I think Raiders, you can see that, like, one, when the coaching is bad, it's all bad. Ownership, you can see that. The Bills, I guess, have been covering this up because I can't imagine this is the first day the owner has acted like this in some form or fashion, which is probably why this GM, now promoted to president of football operations, considering that he should be gone as much as Sean McDermott, if we want to talk about that. But how is Sean McDermott gone? But now this guy is promoted to a better position. And now we're going to have a press conference talking about why it's everybody else's fault except for the guy, to the owner and the owner himself, for allowing this, like what Caleb said, this toxicity in the organization. So I find it very strange. I find it very interesting. Brian Daboll was reported to do a head coaching interview. I know that he's close with McDermott and with Joe Brady. I don't know how this feels for him now too, because he was in this organization. I'm sure he understands the dynamic going on, and now to have the accountability pushed on somebody else instead of the owner or the GM taking a look at himself and holding himself accountable. So this whole thing is a crazy mess, and it does not look great for Buffalo, all things considered. Now, Josh Allen's going to have to talk about this in the media. Coleman, poor guy's going to have to talk about this. Everybody else is going to have to talk about this rather than, hey, how can we build upon next year to be right back in the hunt as we should be with potentially a new head coach, some new players. Now we're talking about how toxic this organization is. And I think this is the start of the downfall for the Bills, unfortunately, because you're going to lose a lot of players that are like, oh, that's how you talk about your players? Got it.
Yeah, I tweeted out this morning that this was the start of the downfall. So I'm not going to put my 2 cents on it. I'm actually real curious here on Austin to see. He said he was going to unleash. So as he says, a little prayer to the Lord. So those of you that are sensitive to language, maybe cover your ears.
That's wild, because I was going to start and say, if I drop an F-bomb, I'm so sorry.
Don't do that, though.
I'm going to try my best. But it's an embarrassment, honestly. I think everyone kind of touched it properly, touched on it properly.
Whoa. Get much better.
Yeah, hot start. But everyone's right. Caleb with this being soft, Matt, distractions, Cody with like just your long-term effects. So I do think it's embarrassing, right? Like, let's be honest. Cody mentioned it when he was on here, and I was going to say it about the Bills. Yeah, thanks, Denver Tribe. But he talked about like the Bills being whiny, and it was like kind of backhanded. And he talked about like later on your teams perform like starts at the leadership down. And I think that's why the Bills haven't been able to do anything as they've gotten so close, but not because the toxicity starts at the top. But here's my thing. Caleb, you mentioned it. You threw a current player on the roster under the bus. That's the biggest issue with all of this. You didn't keep it in-house. You publicly did it. And like, you don't even feel shameful. Like there was no remorse or any like, oh crap, I let that slip. You just rode with it and like just threw him under the bus. Now you got to think, if I'm a coach, do I want to go there? If I'm a free agent, do I want to go there? If I'm Josh Allen, do I want to get Keon Coleman, team up and request a trade with them? You know what I mean? Like why would Josh Allen want to stay there? You're throwing dudes under the bus. Like, nah, I know I'm the star quarterback. You're never going to say something like that about me. But you're making my job harder now by not giving me a roster, by throwing these young dudes under the bus. I don't understand. We talk a lot about Cincinnati being terrible because they don't know how to like pay their players and like they're greedy. This is 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. And you didn't expect this from the Bills, right? We thought the Bills were kind of one of the classes of the league, right?
Yep.
Year after year, they seem to do things right. And Matt, this loss broke them. You've mentioned, Denver broke Cam Newton in the Super Bowl from that one play. Well, now you guys have broken an entire organization. They don't know how to operate. I mean, I love Josh Allen. I think we all know that. But they're not going to have another winning season. Plain and simple. Not with that. We always say it starts at the top. Mm-hmm. And at the top, not only the toxicity, the accountability. If your leadership doesn't have accountability, how the hell is the coaching staff and how the hell are the players?
Exactly.
I think Cody mentioned with some of the players and Sean, accountability.
Yep.
Andy Reid, we talked about Eric Bieniemy coming back. Why did we like that? Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Your owners just show they have no accountability. The blame is everyone else's fault. And if that's what's leading an organization, you're not going to see success. Plain and simple. Josh will do what he can. James Cook will do what he can. But I don't think you're not an appealing place for free agents now.
Yeah.
If I'm a draft pick, I might pull a Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning situation and be like, I'm not playing with you.
Mm-hmm.
My reason, look what you did to Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Your first round pick. So I don't know. It's an embarrassment. I hate it because I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. But after that, like, it's embarrassing. Like, if there's an issue like this, keep it in-house. Don't be toxic. Don't throw dudes under the bus. You're an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a Bills fan, I probably wouldn't even be a Bills fan anymore. Not unless that shit was corrected. That's more embarrassing than being a Raiders fan.
I think what was interesting too about when the owner said that, he made it sound like as if that was a mic drop. Like he had a point. Everyone was going to go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And it was just like, why would you say that about a young player?
Why would you say that about anybody?
Right.
One of your employees nationally, you're going to be like, oh, I didn't want him. Well, what the I'm still on this team, dude. You want me to perform or not? This isn't exactly getting me hyped.
He literally put his hand up and he's like, "Hold on, I got this." And
Right.
he's like, "Let me."
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
said,
dude,
"Let
what
me.
are you
I'm going to
doing?
interject here."
Yeah.
Like again, like I
Stand
said
back,
before,
guys. I've got this.
right?
What?
Like I said before, like again, the Bills were in the running to get Max Crosby. If there is some kind of trade proposal, that just ruined it right there. Because you already know Max is leaving one shit organization. He's not going to walk into another one.
Nope. Yeah, Denver trap. I don't even think Sean Payton is trash. Situation in New Orleans, I guarantee they weren't the only team in that era doing that anyway. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, I'd rather you want your team to play a little physical or dirty than throw my team under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
That Caleb said soft. I think it's softer than soft, man. Like this is bottom of the barrel behavior just as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Let alone someone in charge of $1 billion organization. You're a joke. Like I wouldn't go there. You could offer me the biggest contract. I'm good. Who says you're not going to throw me under the bus later? It's starting to make that Stephon Diggs stuff make a little more sense.
Yeah.
Denver Trav said it earlier. Walton Penner Group would never. So again, I'm done talking about this. I'm not going to let it bring the vibes down. I have an AFC Championship game and I have a team to root for while my ownership group does their part with the organization. So no more vibe kills for me. I don't give a shit about the Bills. Never did give a shit about the Bills.
Well, either do they.
Bills Mafia. Nice try. Good luck. Enjoy being who you are. I think they're scared because the Patriots are back.
Yep.
The Patriots caught up to them, and I think there's no chance for the Bills to win the division anytime soon. So again, Bills Mafia, eat shit, enjoy it. I'm gonna get ready for this AFC Championship game. So Matt, let's get some final words in and let's go home.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in to West War Room Rivals podcast, where rivals collide. On behalf of the crew, we thank you guys for joining here. If you're new, welcome in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are doing a giveaway for Super Bowl week. I'm sure my co-host will drop the prize while I'm gone. I don't even know what it is, but I'm sure they'll release it. But with that said, we are recording live from the JBW Solutions studio. Shout out to our sponsors, Emporia State Federal Credit Union, Angie and her team. They are the War Room's banking of choice. Troy from Field Ops, Kansas. Contact them for all your field marking needs in the greater area of Kansas. Rival codes, as you can see, Corey and Austin are rocking the Rival Code shirt. Make sure you use code RIVALS10 to get 10% off your order at checkout. Vidi Coffee, great coffee. They sent the whole crew some coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I thought it was actually pretty good. So I wouldn't mind if he sent me some more. And, of course, the main sponsor, again, JBW Solutions. Jeff and his crew taking care of us. Thank you guys so much. And we out.
See you guys later.